All right, who's winning the championship this year?
Man, I will honestly have to say on paper, it's looking like the Lakers, man. They deep. LeBron, he got rest. He ain't had rest in what, 8 years? I want to say.
You also
into
got to
the
remember that
finals?
LeBron's coming off that terrible injury, but I agree with the Lakers, but I'm also going to throw the Clippers in the mix.
I wouldn't say a terrible injury.
Terrible.
but-
He was definitely cleared to come back.
Or,
before
okay,
the season
terrible.
ended.
Terrible was the wrong word. My bad.
When they didn't make the playoffs, they just rested him. He was able to come back. You know that, right?
Yes, I do.
They just weren't making the playoffs.
Well, I just want to
They
say
got
they was
AD
in,
now, so we're straight.
they was in fourth seed with LeBron with a helpless team that he had around him, horseshit. But now he has, he has people around him, and not people, just a superstar in Anthony Davis, a once in a lifetime generation player. Not too many dominant big men in the game anymore. But AD, he'll be around for a while, so it's looking ugly in LA.
I'm going to go with the. I'm going to say both LA teams are pretty good, but I'm putting more of my faith into the Clippers.
I'm going
After-
with Clippers.
After seeing what Kawhi did last year, almost by himself, I think him and Paul George can do a lot.
And on that note, that starts the very first podcast. My name's Stevie, and I'm with Omari and Max for now. We're waiting on somebody else. But what are we going to call this?
Joe
Do we
Barteeth.
know-
We're going to call him. We're going to call the lonely man Joe Barteeth.
Do we know what the podcast is going to be called yet, or not yet?
TBD.
TBD. What do you think, Omari? What do you want to call it?
Does he even know what TBD is?
To be determined. Yeah. Gotcha right there, didn't I, buddy? I was thinking, midday talks with the crew.
Midday Talks.
It's currently 7:15 p.m.
Okay, well, I didn't want to say late night and evening sounds not the best, so
7:15 p.m.
a late day is it's evening, man.
That's not midday.
Okay, Max.
All right. So basically, this first episode is going to be about the NBA. Starts tomorrow, boys. How you feeling about it?
I'm excited because we have a Western Conference Finals pre-look the first day of the NBA, and even though one team isn't at its full strength, we kind of get a feel of how this rivalry is going to go.
I don't even think. I think Kyle Kuzma's not playing tomorrow. I think he's out. I don't know about AD because I know he's got that thumb injury. And Paul George is also out for the Clippers.
It's the beginning of the season. I don't put anything on the first, half of the season almost.
Okay.
First quarter of the season doesn't mean a whole lot coming towards the end of it.
So you're not really concerned about this?
The season
The
doesn't
Beginning injuries, I'm not concerned about.
Okay.
the season doesn't start until after February, if we want to be honest. After the All-Star break, that's when the NBA regular season gets more exciting.
That's when they start getting ready for playoff runs.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What I'm most excited for is that the NBA, this has got to be the most balanced league in our generation.
Okay. What do you think?
I can't even say that. I can honestly say back when Rose was playing, I feel like that was the most competitive NBA I've ever watched.
You mean back when Rose was MVP caliber?
Exactly. When Rose was, and the Bulls were the number one seed in the Eastern Conference for 2 years in a row.
So
You know.
basically, when
Only
Boston whipped their ass.
You said what?
Only problem is they had a problem with Boston and they had a problem with Miami because who
That's
went to
fine.
Miami?
It don't matter. At least
LeBron.
the East was very intriguing to watch.
The East was balanced. Now the whole league is balanced due
don't
to
know.
these
The league was-
off-season moves.
No. The
Okay,
league was
that-
balanced when we had Tim Duncan with the Spurs, with the powerhouse OKC, with the upcoming Memphis Grizzlies and Tony Allen, and the East had Paul George on the upbringing with Danny Granger, and the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. We had legitimate contenders in East Conference. We all know that the West has the most smoke, but we all know that the West is winning the NBA championship. Let's just be honest here.
Honestly, I was just gonna say that I would say that the West isn't as bad as it was last year, but it's still better than the East by far. But at least it's more balanced than it was. You're not gonna say that the Warriors are going to the championship this year.
I can almost guarantee you right now, and I did say a few minutes ago that I do not put anything on the beginning of the season. But as of right now, I'm going to say with almost 100% certainty, the Warriors are not going to the finals.
Are they going to the playoffs?
Playoffs, yes,
Okay.
because they still have talent. They still have Curry.
Okay. They still got D'Lo now. or they have.
And they have D'Lo.
Well, one thing I can say is, if you make it to the playoffs this year in the Western Conference Finals, you can look at that as a legitimate accomplishment because of how tough the road is there. If you make it in the East, I mean, that's just a slap on the back.
Well, you just said we had a first look at what the Western Conference Finals could look like. Who do you think is going to make it there then?
That'll be the Clippers and Lakers. Could they tip off tomorrow?
So what if they're not matched up? What if they match up in the second round?
Oh, the Lakers are definitely going to the Western Conference Finals.
You think so?
They're winning the
Without
championship.
injuries though.
Oh, both teams healthy? Oh, it's the Lakers, no doubt.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree because they're deep. Like they're just big in general. Like they have Dwight Howard, who's coming back from an injury and has something to prove. They got JaVale McGee still. They got AD, Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma's probably gonna run the 3. He's what 6'9", 6'10". LeBron's probably gonna end up playing the 1 this year. We'll see how that works. I mean, I don't think he's gonna do bad. Well, on that note, that brings me to who had the best offseason this year?
I would say
Man.
the Los Angeles Clippers had the best offseason.
I'm talking both free agency and draft wise. Who top 3 for you guys?
Free agency is the Clippers,
Okay.
Lakers, and the Nets.
Okay.
My thing when it comes to the draft is that everybody has all this hype on Zion. But we also saw all that hype with Lonzo in his first year. He was not very good. The first half of the season, at least. He stepped it up the second half. So I'm more excited. Rather than seeing Zion, I'm more excited for Memphis in this draft for drafting Ja Morant.
Okay.
One thing I could say, also, I would say the Pelicans had a very successful offseason.
Yeah.
Free agency-wise and draft-wise. That team...
Yeah, they picked up some solid vets. They
Yes.
picked up Derek Favors, J.J. Redick, and they picked up a young core just for – you never know. AD might just be a one and done in L.A., but I highly doubt it. I think he'll stay.
For free agency, I'm going to answer this a different way than you guys did because you looked at it as a lead, the whole league. I'm going to go East and West.
Okay.
For the East, I believe that Brooklyn had a decent offseason, mostly due to free agency, picking up Kyrie and Kevin Durant, even though Kevin Durant's hurt and out for, I believe, most of the season.
Probably out for the rest of the season, but you never know.
That's still trying to be determined, right?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know when he's going to be back, but I'm
So,
assuming.
Then for the East, I'm going to go with
better person
Brooklyn. For the West, I'm going to agree with you guys and say the Clippers.
Okay.
Because I do believe it's hard to land 2 great players like they did. They landed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard when we just thought that either
And they really
the
didn't
Clippers
give up
or
that
the
much
Lakers were
either.
only going to get Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And the Clippers managed to pull him and Paul George. So overall, they had the best offseason. But for the West, most definitely.
I would say for the East, the biggest winner in free agency is probably Philly because they signed Ben Simmons to that extension. They did get rid of Jimmy Butler, which kind of hurts them when it comes to their perimeter shooting.
Which also makes East a little more exciting now that they have another strong player over in Miami since Dwayne Wade retired.
Yeah, honestly, I think that they're going to be a big sleeper team. What you think about it, guy? What you think about Miami?
The Heat?
Yeah.
Well, that just depends on Jimmy Butler's teammates. Because you know what Jimmy going to bring to the table.
Well, Jimmy...
But yeah, what were you saying? But yeah, I think Jimmy Butler has a nice young core surrounding him, along with Justice Winslow, Bam Adebayo, and now Tyler Hero, who I think is
My
going to pan out really
only
well.
thing about Jimmy Butler is that, and we saw this mostly when he started to play more and more for the Bulls when Derrick Rose first hurt himself.
Okay.
So when he was just coming off the bench, he was mostly a team player,
Yeah.
of course, because you want to make it to a starting position, even if it's not on the team you're currently playing for. He finally gets to that starting position. He starts becoming a little more self-involved, and it's only gotten a little worse as time has gone on. He's kind of, even in Philly, I know it seemed like he was 100% for the team.
Well, I mean,
But
I think
he's
that's just
out.
how it
I
is.
believe for right now, he's trying to build himself a name before he builds a team along with him, a championship caliber team. I think he's building a name for himself rather than a championship team.
Well, I mean, like, I think people already know who he is and, like, what he does. It's just that he wants to just have that mindset of winning. Like, he just wants to try his hardest, and he just wants to win a championship. I mean, when, like, it comes to players like Ben Simmons, who's offensively limited as of now, and Ben Simmons, who's consistently injured, like, you're not going to win a championship. That's why he left Minnesota, because he was playing with players that weren't mature enough to get all the way there. But with the offseason moves of him going to Miami and then picking up Al Horford, I think really helps them, because Al Horford was the only one stopping Joel in the playoffs last year.
And now the two of them are playing together.
Yeah. Although their bench is a little bit hurt, but I think they picked up some solid backups for cheap, like Trey Burke and Kyle O'Quinn, which you don't really hear about him much, but I think he could be solid on that team.
Omari is concerned about this Patriots game right now.
They have a legit shooter in Tyler Hero. They have a bucket getter. If he can,
I don't know if you know this. I was talking about Philly.
Oh my God!
He said, what was
Well,
going through his
excited
mind
to
was
see this.
Linda.
I'm excited to see this Matisse Thybulle dude. You know,
Okay.
they got him projected to be one of the top three, top candidates for DPOY. He's averaging 3 steals in the preseason.
For the
Right.
rookie year? Or are you just talking about, like, future-wise?
Probably, yeah. Especially, he'll probably be on all first team rookie, the way he's playing the defense.
Okay.
And if he can stay healthy, he'll get a lot of playing time. Because, Philly with the length and stuff they have, they like to play defense. So
Okay.
Real quick, just a sidebar. I realize this is mostly going to be an NBA thing
Okay.
because the NFL is not too much an area of expertise
Oh, we can
for
always do
my
it.
man Stevie Esquivel. But I do feel that tonight I need to have a little conversation about this Bears team. Because after last night's performance against my all-time favorite sports team in the world, the New Orleans Saints, that was still a pitiful showing by my home city, Chicago.
Bears need no quarterback. That's just the
You
rest
getting rid of
the
Mitch?
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a
Mitch is-
little bit.
Mitch
We'll
is
go
a
back.
bust?
We'll go back to the NBA for right now. We'll get that to at the end of the.
Okay.
The end of this session.
Last subject is going to be about the NFL. So,
I just feel like that needed to be said. Sorry to interrupt, guys.
top 3 off seasons. Who had them? Or I should say free agency. Who had the best off season?
Clippers.
Clippers.
Okay.
Second best, I'm gonna go Lakers.
Okay.
Third, I want to say Brooklyn again, but I'm also looking at Philly. Even though I said earlier that I think Brooklyn had the best, it's still kind of a toss-up between them, mostly because Brooklyn picked up 2 big names in the NBA,
Okay.
Kyrie and Kevin Durant. So I'm probably going to stick with Brooklyn on that one.
Okay.
But definitely Philly's probably my number 4.
For my free agency, I'll probably go the Lakers, because even though they traded like their whole core, they're able to get assets for the win now mode, regardless of like if most of them are 1-year deals. They picked up Dwight Howard, they picked up JaVale McGee again. They were able to pick up Danny Green, which I'm not all for the contract and all, but he's
Well,
he's
the
a
pickup
team
for
player.
with Danny Green just adds shooting
Oh yeah.
to their
And the
lineup.
championship pedigree DNA.
Facts. The
That
other
is-
problem is would he be a starter? You
Oh,
think,
yeah, for
Danny
sure.
Green?
He'll be starting shooting guard.
Well, that's good then because they're starting 5, not a whole lot of shooting. Anthony
Yeah.
Davis can shoot when need be, but for right now, I'm pretty sure
it's
they'd
just-
rather him be in the paint.
Like, me being a Clippers fan, like, I think this is the best offseason they've had since they picked up Chris Paul. But there's just something about the Clippers other than their starting 5 and Montrez and Lou Will that I just don't think that they're going to take that load and match up with the Lakers. Like, I don't see Zubac being able to out-rebound both AD and Dwight or JaVale, whoever's in at the center. I don't see him being able to hold that down with, I don't know who would be starting at the 4. It's either Paul George, Kawhi, Mo Harkless, somewhere around there. Like, I don't see some of those assets doing so well against them when each team is healthy.
Well, when they play each other, when they got all their players healthy, it's going to be a hell battle during the season.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So, hopefully that pans out the way it will.
No, I don't believe that the Clippers would ever get blown out by the Lakers. Do I believe that the Lakers would win in a series in the playoffs? Probably. But blowout? Definitely not. Like, those teams can definitely take 7 games in a series if need be.
The key for the Clippers to beat the Lakers is you do not have to key in on AD or LeBron. They're going to get theirs. You have to stop the requisite parts around them. Just as in Kawhi in the finals, he's going to put 30 on your head. There's nothing you can do about it. What you can control is not allowing Kyle Lowry to average 28 freaking points in the NBA Finals.
Well, his shooting stepped up a lot during that series.
That cannot
You
happen.
can't let Fred VanVleet get like 6 threes.
That's facts.
Van
Fred
Vliet
VanVleet was
cannot be
shooting
looking like a
more
pick and roll
than
maestro
75%
in Oracle.
in the finals.
Also, you can't have Pascal Siakam hitting threes on you. I'm sorry.
Does anybody know off the top of his head what his shooting percentage was in the finals? Fred VanVleet, off the top of their head?
Maybe a 95. He didn't miss. Just so you need to know. Dead at Hall of Fame, range extended Hall of Fame, and he put the absolute clamps on Stephen Curry. I mean, my God.
You talking about Fred?
Well, if you're looking
Yes.
at
Fred VanVleet deserves to be starting on someone's team.
all right. Well, boys,
I wouldn't say. Well,
I'm going to show you first before I start saying this. I'm going to show you guys first as to what his shooting percentage was in the finals.
44.
44% was his shooting percentage in the finals. And if anybody watched those games, it definitely seemed like he was shooting, as Omari said, 95. But apparently he missed a lot more
I don't know that
than
man's
what
gonna
we
get a
think.
payday. That man's gonna get a payday on his contract here, whenever that shows up. I don't know what it is, but
I honestly didn't know, and I'm make fun if you want to, but I didn't know Fred VanVleet existed until
Oh,
this
I don't
playoffs.
I don't think he really just stepped up his game until this year. Like, I know he was on the roster last year, but he wasn't playing like he was this year at all.
He's one of those names that just pops up out of nowhere, kind of like Jimmy Butler was when he started to show up once Derrick Rose hurt himself back how many years ago.
Could you just imagine going to
And now how
one
big of a
team-
name is Jimmy Butler?
going to one team for 1 year and bringing home a chip, not just a playoff berth, a team that couldn't get past the second round to save their life due to LeBron himself.
Well, that was when LeBron was in the Eastern Conference and the god of the Eastern Conference.
Now, do you believe that Kawhi's, I don't want to say legacy, is a little hindered due to the fact that he did do that in the Eastern Conference and he did win the title against a non-healthy Warriors team? Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Bro, what was the question?
He's
believe-
basically saying that the Eastern Conference last year was still a weak conference compared to the West.
Oh yeah.
And
well, I
then
mean, it's still weak now.
the injuries that the Warriors had during the finals. I mean, Clay went down. I mean, he somewhat tore his ACL on that one jump, comes back into the game to shoot his free
Oh, he
throws,
definitely tore it.
and then tore it right then and there. If he tore it fully right then and there, he wouldn't have been able to walk. Trust me, I know somebody that's torn
No.
both his ACLs.
Well, when Kobe tore his Achilles, he was able to shoot 2 free throws and walk off the court. I mean, it's just an adrenaline rush. So, I mean, he could have tore it.
I just want to be perfectly clear that Kobe compared to Clay, Kobe's a demon.
Well, they both have the same mindset.
They're both humans.
You
It hurts.
ever seen Clay when he gets hot? It's a different type of mindset.
Yeah, I've seen Clay when he gets hot in real life and when Jacob uses him against me in 2K. Even though I've only played Jacob once and he decided to use the Warriors against one of the weakest 2K players he's ever seen in his life.
So,
I'm talking about myself.
off of that, who's had the best draft? Best draft this year?
I'm gonna, from only a draft standpoint, or are you considering free agency too?
No, just the draft standpoint now.
Memphis.
Okay.
If healthy, it'd be the Pelicans, of course, but like I said, the best ability is availability. And Zion's not available.
My
for the first
only
game.
problem with Zion is that, and I realize all this hype that Lonzo had when he was
tore his
drafted.
meniscus, right?
Zion?
Yeah, that's what they said today. That
Yes.
he tore his meniscus.
Yes. But that's an injury that you can come back from at some point in the season. Definitely not for a while, though.
He'll be out for about 2 months.
Yes. So my only problem with Zion, let's think of this as if he didn't get hurt.
Okay.
Like he was going to play the first game of the season full strength. My only problem with him is that the hype that we build around him is almost the same hype that was built around Lonzo. Now, given the fact that Lonzo's father is, I'm not even sure what to call him, and built that hype up for him, Lonzo still didn't live up to it very well, and actually, he didn't even live up to the hype that he created for himself, let alone what his dad created for him.
Well, I think with Lonzo, like, it's not like really his play style. Well, I mean, it is his play style, but it's not like what he does, like, offensively. It's just more of like that kind of leadership role. Because I mean, like, he can show that he's gonna be a good teammate, and that's like not what you see stats wise. Like, you're not gonna see it stats wise, but you're gonna see him leading his team, telling them what to do, knowing how to play basketball, showing his teammates how to play.
Well, that's Lonzo now. This is going to be his third year in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Zion's coming in from Duke when he was the dominant, and he wasn't much of a teacher there, given that it's a college league and everybody's trying to play for themselves to get themselves to the NBA. He wasn't much of a leader in Duke. I can't imagine him being a leader at some point on the Pelicans, because he just doesn't seem like a leadership kind of guy to me.
Zion reminds me of Joel Embiid, a very recruited prospect out of college, the best in his class, but wasn't able to get on the court until, like, I want to say 3 years.
That's what's going to hinder him the most, and that's also why I believe that Memphis did better in the draft, because this injury is very recent, long after the draft. But from right now, that's why I think that Memphis did better with Ja Morant rather than New Orleans did with Zion Williamson.
I'm going to say, for me, for the draft, it's probably the Atlanta Hawks. Because not only were they able to get the 4th pick, well, actually, they got the 4th pick for really nothing. Like, that was the Lakers initially, and they just kind of just swooped in, got the 4th pick, and they got their 8th pick as well.
Well, it turns out the Lakers didn't exactly need the 4th pick anyway.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, they ended up getting DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, who are both good perimeter players. I think that they're going to help out Trae Young a lot when it comes to Atlanta. I do think the Pelicans are right up there when it comes to Atlanta, because they did pick up Zion, and also they picked up Jackson Hayes, which I haven't really seen much of Jackson Hayes, but I think he'll be a good asset for moving forward. I mean, obviously I think they're going to start Derek Favors at the 5, but right now Jackson Hayes is kind of just chilling, trying to just learn.
Real quick, I'm just going to say, and this floats through my mind sometimes when it comes to drafts, mostly drafts, is like, it doesn't matter in any sport, the NBA, the NFL, anything like that. And mostly we see this kind of stuff in the NBA, though, because most people in the country watch college basketball, especially during March.
Okay.
My problem sometimes is all the hype we put on players, which puts pressure on them when they go to the NBA. Which is why this is why I think Lonzo was. I'm going to use the word weak, and I know that's not the word I should use. I'm going to use the word weak, though, because of all that hype, and it was just so much pressure put on him. And I feel like once Zion comes off his injury, it's going to be the same way. And it's just a hype is my problem with all these kids, because they're just coming into the NBA. We should not be hyping them up too much.
Well, I think for Lonzo,
provide excitement, yes.
Lonzo,
but don't put so much pressure on these kids.
Thing. Like, Lonzo, he was drafted 2nd, and he was drafted to his hometown. So, like, they were, like, thinking he's going to be this, like, just kind of savior for them. Which, like you said, it's not the case. Like, you don't expect them to come in and just, making a huge impact for them. And I think that does kind of just kind of dismantle your, how do you call it? Confidence, yeah.
Confidence.
I think Zion will pan out to be decent if staying healthy. I think he'll be...
Well, maybe the injury was good for Zion in a way, because with Zion being out, all this hype can be moved over to Ja Morant. And then when Zion comes off his injury, yes, people, especially people in New Orleans, are going to be very excited. But it's going to be less of a hype because people aren't going to be expecting him to do what he used to do coming off a meniscus injury. But I think he'll be able to do it.
Speaking of which, since Zion will be out for like about 2 months, who do you think is going to be the main scorer on that team?
I would say...
I'm going to think Brandon Ingram's going to have to step up more. More than he did in
Lonzo
LA.
or Brandon Ingram.
You think Brandon Ingram is worth a max contract?
Not at all.
Not yet.
You think?
I think he can be, but not yet.
Do you think Jaylen Brown is? Or do you think, okay, so Jaylen Brown signed to a 4-year, $115 million contract. Do you think he's worth that?
I would say yeah, because the playoff run against LeBron, like 2 years back, he was
the
more
playoffs
useful.
before last year.
He was more useful than he was when Kyrie got back, due to just having to share the ball more. It's only one ball in the court. A lot of stars is not as easy, especially with a ball dominant point guard like Kyrie. So
Well,
I feel like
and
his talents would be able to be showcased now that it's
the
more
problem
his
with-
team and what's his name, Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
Jalen's problem also is that there was some tension in that locker room, mostly between Kyrie and Jason Tatum on whose team it was and is going to be.
I mean, to be
So
honest, I
that
don't
meant
think it's
Jalen had to
anybody's
take
team
a
besides
back
Brad
seat because he
Stevens.
knew with those two going at it, he was never going to be in
Don't forget,
a
they also had Al
control.
Horford last year.
Yeah, but compared to what we saw from Kyrie, and especially when Jason Tatum when Kyrie was out.
Okay, so like now that they have Kemba and that Jason Tatum has a bigger role, do you see Jaylen Brown averaging maybe 18 to 20 a game? Do you see that at all? Because last year he averaged 13 and a half.
I could definitely see it.
You think so?
I could.
With a pass first point guard.
Well, I wouldn't even say Kemba's a pass first. I mean, he's just a well-liked player that can score and distribute. I mean, he's basically Kyrie. He just doesn't. Bring
Kyrie's only
any-
problem was he was there to be like a LeBron. He wanted it to be his team. He wanted to be the leader. He wanted to teach these kids the way LeBron did. Only problem was he wanted more power than teaching.
Oh.
He wanted power more than he wanted to teach, is basically what I was.
Oh, that's just a
what I
lot
mean.
of money for Jaylen Brown. Like that's a lot. That's like.
But you
almost
can
30 mil a year.
for Jaylen Brown, you can look at it as that playoff run that they had when Jaylen Brown's not only his offense stepped up a lot, but also his defense.
Oh, his defense has always been there. So I mean, like that part I can understand. But like he's just always been that inconsistent player. Even though I think he improved a lot last year. with
My only
shooting.
thing, I don't, to answer your question earlier about is he worth that contract that they gave him, right now I'm not 100% convinced he is, because I mean look at what the Celtics did last year. They didn't go as far as they should have.
So
And that's because Jaylen Brown didn't step up the way he did the year before. Same with Jason Tatum.
another player that just got an extension was Buddy Hield to a 4-year, $94 million. You think he's worth that?
No, because I
Negative.
haven't seen Buddy Hield achieve any real accolades. Honestly, no one watches the Kings, and not to be.
No, and I think that's one thing. Like
So,
a lot of people think that like he's really not worth it just because they haven't seen him play.
Exactly.
He hasn't
Kings
played that
don't
much
get a lot
now.
of televised games because they're not good. So it's like garbage money. It's like getting paid on Phoenix. Like, okay, good for you. They just got money to just throw out. They don't have any big name stars there.
But to be honest, he did average 18 points a game last year on 42% shooting from the field, which is pretty impressive.
That's also why I feel bad for Buddy Hield too, because he was a strong player back when he was playing for Oklahoma, and then gets drafted by the Kings.
No, he got drafted by New Orleans.
He was drafted by New
Yeah,
Orleans.
because they had traded him for DeMarcus.
You're right.
And he was looked to be their franchise piece until they got De'Aaron Fox.
Well, either way either way it could have gone. He still ended up in one of, if not the weakest team in the
I
NBA.
think that the Kings are a rising team in the West. I don't think that they'll make the playoffs, but I think that they're in the right direction to being a
I think
playoff
give them a
team.
few years and they'll make a playoff appearance finally, but they're not going to go very far.
No, it'll probably be about 10 years before the Kings see the playoffs.
You think so?
I think it'll be
You
less
don't
than
like
that.
this team?
They can't attract any big name.
Yeah,
big
but
name free
they've
agent.
drafted pretty well. I mean, like, other than them trading for Buddy Hield, they've drafted De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, Bogdanovich. I don't really see him doing that much, but he's solid for them. They picked up Harrison Barnes, which, he is going to do either good or bad. They lost out on Willie Cauley-Stein, which is kind of a loss to them, but if they're trying to run like a spread out kind of offense, that kind of helps them in their favor.
Well, I agree with Omari somewhat. I mean, the Kings really can't attract big name players. I mean, Sacramento is not a place you just want to go. If you're going to go somewhere in California, you're going to want to go to LA. So the Kings are just going to have to almost solely rely on drafts
Okay.
and trading for high draft picks and all that, which means they're going to have to give away a lot. So I do believe it's going to be a long time before they make a playoff appearance. I don't think it's going to take them more than
I give
more
them-
than 8 years.
I give
I'm
them the
gonna
next
say
2 years they'll be in the playoffs.
Negative.
Maybe next year.
negative.
Marvin Bagley has to be a very good dominant person in order for that to happen.
I think they all have to be good. Like, I think everybody that you draft nowadays is always going to be offensively there. But when you get that defensive mindset later on in your career, like, you're going to be making it to the playoffs. Like, I just don't, like, with De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, they're not good on both ends. Or they're not great on both ends as of now.
I'm just gonna say this, and
We got De'Aaron Fox. I forgot about him.
I feel like I'm gonna get a look, mostly from Omari. But you never know what can happen during the season, man.
What are you talking
Maybe
about,
the
like,
Kings pull a miracle and
This is
decide
not
that
the
they want a
Eastern
playoff
Conference.
scene, the
I-
playoff appearance this year.
This is not the Eastern Conference. I repeat.
Okay, I didn't get a look. He's just gonna continue to say this is not the Eastern Conference.
I mean, last year they were, I think they were 9th seed, but, like, I just don't see them making the playoffs. But at the same time, Oklahoma was in the playoff spot last year, and I don't see them making it. So that leaves one room for them, or one spot open for them.
Like I said, I don't believe in a lot. I do believe miracles can happen sometimes.
Okay. I just don't see them making
For
the playoffs
you
this
three,
year,
you're gonna
maybe next
understand
year.
this reference. Most of the time, I don't believe in miracles because I live with Satan. You guys know who I'm referring to, but when it comes to the NBA, man, you never know.
Okay.
No, that's the NFL. That any team can win on any given Sunday. In the NBA, with 82
Except the
games you can
Bears.
play, it's not that. It's a lot of room for mistakes, but not in the Western Conference, sir. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah, especially when you're playing the same teams more than you are in the East.
Like I said, I'm not making a full argument for the Kings. I honestly just want to see if I could get a look out of both of you.
I'm just gonna not agree with Omari and say that the Kings are making this playoffs in the next 2 years. If they get a
I don't
decent
agree with Omari's
prospect,
time range either, but I also don't agree with yours. I guarantee it's going to be less than his, which is 10 years, and I do believe it's going to be more than 2. I'm going to go with 8.
8. Wow. Okay. So, who are the best teams in the conference or in the NBA right now? Who are your top 5 teams coming into this year?
For all around or for each conference?
No, all around, and then we'll go into each, and then we'll decide on who are on our early
Just by our basic opinion
Playoff
or on
standings.
paper?
both. On paper, and in your opinion, who's the top 5 best teams in the NBA?
When healthy or just as is?
No, just when healthy. So like,
At
So-
full strength, like
At
KD
full
on
strength.
the Nets type stuff.
no, okay, no. So like now. So like, I'm saying like
But the
later,
problem with adding, we can take off injuries for the season. It's just the only problem with KD is that he is out for the season.
Yeah, so like, say if like when Zion comes back and he comes back healthy, he doesn't get hurt. Same with like, but like
Kevin
KD is gonna
Durant
be out for the
is
year.
out for the
You
season,
know,
and if
Klay's
he
gonna be
even
out
if he
till
does come back,
February.
it's going to be a little before the playoffs start,
KD's
if
out
not
for the
when the
season.
playoffs are already going on.
KD's out for the season.
Right. So we're not going to count KD coming back. Everybody else, though, they have a chance.
My top 5 seeds, teams from like best to worst, or it doesn't matter.
You're just
No, it
your
doesn't matter.
top 5.
I would say Lakers,
It doesn't have to be in any specific order.
Clippers, Philly, Milwaukee, and my wild card would have to be the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
They have a legitimate
about
center
you?
this year.
I wasn't thinking about the Portland Trailblazers until
Okay,
you
I'm gonna
brought it
go-
up, but
I'm gonna go the Lakers, the Clippers, the Sixers, the Bucks, and the Nuggets. That's what I'm gonna go with.
real quick before I give you guys mine, I do feel like Utah has made an up and coming the last few years.
Oh yeah.
So I am going to throw Utah in my mix. So I'm going to go, obviously, I'm going to say it's 2 of the same teams you guys did, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Okay.
I'm also going to say the Bucks because, as you two both know, Giannis is my favorite player in the NBA.
Hey, was Giannis MVP last year, Amari?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Did you watch the Eastern Conference Finals? Well, the regular
How much
season,
further did James Harden go in the West?
If there was a regular season MVP, which it should be for the regular season, it is James Harden. Without a doubt, James Harden.
James Harden really, and Stevie's, I know what Stevie's going to say after I say this because he says it every time.
Put Giannis in the West, he averages 20.
I wouldn't say that.
Simple.
I wouldn't say that.
He averages 20. That's all I'll say. With the 6th seed, by the way. Not the
Okay,
first.
so if
Okay, Stevie's gonna say something, and I know what he's gonna say, but I'm gonna say what I have to say first.
If the
Ye-
Bucks were in the West, they definitely would not be top 3 seeds, for
Oh,
sure.
I'm not saying that, but real quick before I was gonna say what I was gonna say, you got to remember that you're claiming James Harden is the best, but he went up against a hurt Warriors team. Mostly because they didn't have Kevin Durant. And it seemed like once they got Kevin Durant, they relied on him so much. And once he was out, once he was hurt, it just went downhill for the. Now, given that the fact that they did go to the finals, it just seemed like it went downhill when they lost KD. Morale went down, confidence went down. So what I'm going to say after that is that if you want to compare Giannis and James Harden, who played both sides of the ball a lot more than the other? Giannis.
I can say Giannis, but if that's the case,
But if we're looking at if we're looking at an offensive MVP, by far James Harden.
Yeah, I
by
would say-
far.
I would
If we're
say-
looking at MVP, which takes in factor offense and defense, it has to be Giannis. And I know what Stevie's thinking right now. He's going to say James Harden averaged more steals. Just because you can steal the ball does not mean you can play defense. You can swipe at a ball all you want. That does not mean you can play defense. And he really doesn't.
I would say that Giannis is more all around, which probably gave him the MVP.
Right. You
but
have to be an
James Harden
all-around
just had
player
too
to
much
be
of
an
it.
MVP. I don't care what voting says. Even if James Harden won, I stand by that.
James Harden just had too much of a historic scoring year to not be acknowledged for. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say acknowledged because he was the runner-up, but like, he probably definitely should have won last year. Just because, like,
Just
Giannis
because
is
you
gonna
have,
improve
like I'm saying, I'm
year
standing
after
by.
year.
I'm standing by what I'm saying. If you can't play all around, you shouldn't be an MVP.
well, people get
if you're just
snagged
gonna
at
play
MVP
off-
every year. LeBron got snagged on MVP in literally every significant stat in 2017.
Did he get
was
snagged
way
when D
better
Rose won
than
MVP?
him. No,
No,
You don't think so?
MVP was
absolutely
different.
not.
Rose was different that year.
Okay.
If you want to go back and look at highlights of the both of them, you can definitely tell that Derrick Rose was.
The best player
Yes.
in the NBA? Okay.
I couldn't get the word out. Sorry.
Hot one.
Linda.
Hot one. Look at it. Hot one.
That's a great throw.
Hot one.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, we're currently watching the
Patriots.
Patriots play the Jets.
So
Hey, look at that! Look at that! Oh, look at that TV screen right now. My man's coming in last.
Your man's also isn't playing, so I'll give you that.
Thank you. We don't agree on a whole lot when it comes to the NFL. Thank you for agreeing with me on that one.
Imagine if Tom Brady had a Michael Thomas to throw to.
Ooh,
My
okay.
God.
But he doesn't. Who does?
Teddy Bridgewater.
oh, yikes.
It's still Drew's team.
Anywho.
Yeah, that's
Back to what I was
another
saying.
conversation.
All right. So
Wait. Back to the MVP conversation.
Okay.
MVP stands for most valuable player. You take Giannis off the Bucks, they still make the playoffs in the East, I believe. You
No.
take Harden off the Rockets, they're a lottery pick. Because due to how many, not to say Chris Paul isn't a great player, but Chris Paul also missed a couple of games along with Clint
okay. So
Capella.
like you take off.
You
off
take
James
Giannis
Harden.
off the Bucks, they're not going as far as they did. Maybe they're a
Said
playoff
they're
team.
making the playoffs.
Okay, but
Oh,
like,
okay, I'm
The
sorry.
Rockets are a lottery team.
So-
I'm sorry.
So basically, if you take off James Harden, they're just gonna end up like what Chris Paul's situation is now.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I could see the Bucks making the playoffs without Giannis. Because, I mean, they got Eric Bledsoe. Brook Lopez honestly surprised me last year. He was just taking
Didn't they
threes like
pick
it
up his
wasn't-
brother too?
Yeah.
The Magic
So you've got
Made
Brook
the playoffs.
starting.
for crying out loud.
You got the
So-
Magic in the playoffs this year?
I don't know. I haven't really took a in-depth
I
look
don't,
at the
think, I
Eastern
don't even
Conference.
know who they picked up this year, to be honest with
Does
you.
anybody else think the Bucks did a pretty good job picking up Robin too,
Oh, yeah.
along with
I
it?
think,
Because you have Brook starting, obviously,
yeah.
but then you have one of the most aggressive centers I've seen since Joakim Noah was playing for that 2011 Bulls team.
You're talking about just in Bulls or just like throughout the whole NBA?
Well, he's a very aggressive center throughout the whole NBA, but I feel like when he was playing for that Bulls team with Derrick Rose, Luol Deng,
No, I'm talking about
Carlos
I'm talking
Boozer.
about Robin Lopez. You think he's one of the most aggressive centers in the NBA, or just for like him playing for the Bulls?
I feel like when he went to the Bulls, he had to step up his aggressiveness a lot more because the Bulls, no offense to, again, we're from Chicago, so no offense to Chicago, but the Bulls were weak.
Okay.
So he had to step up He had to step up a lot because he knew he was going to have to play a lot because they really didn't have any other center.
And I feel like he's going to carry that over to the Bucks, and if he's coming off the bench for his brother.
I mean, I don't even think it's just, Robin Lopez. I think that they kind of just treated him like how they treated Giannis and picking up his brother. Like it's just that, like that chemistry that just helps him out.
Right, a chemistry and height. That just adds so much more height to their roster.
I think a lot of good acquisitions that they got for very cheap, like Kyle Korver, he's a good shooter. That's really all they're going to get him for. Wesley Matthews is a good 3-and-D player.
You just said that they're going to use Kyle Korver as a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. That is going to be pretty much his only job, to sit in the corner and shoot.
Well, I mean, not even just sit in the corner, but just kind of just run his routes and just get open.
Now, shooting, if we can just get Chris Middleton to consistently hit his shots.
Well, I mean, in the regular season he was, in the playoffs. That was
right, but once they get to, because the regular season for a team like the Bucks in the Eastern Conference, it does not matter really about the whole regular season because odds are they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's a fact. So he needs to step up more in the playoffs than he does in the regular season.
Well, I think everybody needs to step up. It's not just
right, but there's a problem with the whole NBA because you got a lot of people that slack off in the playoffs for some reason, rather than slack off more in the regular season than they do in the playoffs.
I wouldn't even say it's slacking off. It's just you're not as comfortable. It's a different.
I realize it's more pressure, but it should also be more motivation.
I think Milwaukee, like a big loss to them though, was Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, like statistically, it's Malcolm Brogdon. I think that they'll be perfectly fine without him. I think that him going to Indiana benefits both the teams. But I think that they'll be all right, especially having Wesley Matthews kind of just step up and be that 3-and-D type of player. I think that picking up Dragon Bender was a good overall pick for how much they're paying him for. Nobody really talks about him because he played for Phoenix, but I think that he could prosper in that kind of system.
Does anybody else feel bad for Devin Booker, speaking of Phoenix?
No, because he hasn't requested a trade.
You said he has?
He has not.
Oh.
The way the league is going this year.
Do you see him playing throughout Phoenix for his whole career?
No, eventually he'll realize that the Phoenix is not going to bring other players he can develop with. So he will eventually request a trade, and if he doesn't do it before the trade deadline this year, he'll definitely do it next year, I believe.
Well, Karl-Anthony Towns had claimed that him, D'Angelo Russell, and Devin Booker are all going to team up together for a team later in their career, obviously.
I could see it definitely at some point.
D'Angelo Russell, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Devin Booker teaming up?
Yeah. Sounds like a whole lot of no defense, but
Pretty much.
2 Duke players and a freaking Ohio State player?
Kentucky players.
Oh, God. They did play for Kentucky.
But I know that they want to team up together. I'm not too sure when that'll happen because they all just signed.
Honestly, that kind of team put together is going to be hard to predict even for professionals.
Oh, yeah.
When that could be, how long that could take.
I mean, it also depends on the atmosphere they're around. Like, are they just going to like a bum team when
honestly, I feel like they would have to. If they wanted to play all 3 together, I feel like it would have to be a bum team to start.
I mean, unless they either get the Miami treatment and they sign to a bum team with a lot of salary, or they go to Boston. They have solid role players for cheap contracts. On that note, when it comes to the top NBA teams, who do you have making the playoffs? All right, so who you guys have making the playoffs?
Like all playoff spots?
Yeah, so like let's start off with the West. Who you guys have making the Western Conference?
Lakers, Clippers. I started moving too fast for my brain.
Okay, Lakers and Clippers.
Lakers, Clippers, Pelicans.
You got the Pelicans making the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay, how about we'll start off the 1 through 8 seed.
Rockets.
So, we'll start off 1 through 8 for you. All right. So let's go with the West. Who's going for the 1 seed?
For right now, before the season actually starts, I'm going to go Clippers 1 seed. That might change throughout the season, though.
Okay. Who's the 2 seed?
Lakers for sure.
Okay. 3.
I'm going to go ahead and say the Rockets.
Okay. 4.
I wanted to say Utah, but I'm going to say Denver.
Okay.
And then
I
I'm going to
honestly
put
thought you were gonna forget about Denver.
I'm going to put Utah at 5.
Okay.
I want to say OKC, but my only problem is that once they lost Russell Westbrook, they don't really have anything. So,
Okay. So who's 6?
uh,
You want me to give you the teams that are still left?
sure.
Okay. So you got Golden State, San Antonio.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, just so we're clear, that's what I'm thinking about Golden State this year. A playoff team for sure, but I already forgot about them being in the playoffs
Okay.
because they're not going to a finals this year. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, you're on number 6. You want to put them there? Or do you still got?
Yeah, I'm going to put them there just because of injuries.
Okay.
Honestly, that's 98% injuries.
Okay.
And the fact that they lost Kevin Durant.
So you still got Portland. You still got San Antonio.
That's what I'm trying to decide right now. I'm trying to
Pelicans,
decide if
The Mavs.
I'm trying to decide who I want to put first, San Antonio or
The Kings.
Portland. Definitely, I'm going to throw the Mavs in the mix. What am I on, 7?
You're on 7.
I'm probably going to put Mavs at 7.
Okay. And then who's the 8th?
After what I saw Damian Lillard do last year, I'm going to say Portland.
You got Portland as the 8th seed. Okay.
Now, these could change throughout the season. Keep in mind, guys, each of ours could change throughout the season as we go on. Yeah.
All right, Omari, let's go with yours. Who you
My
got for
first
the,
seed, I would have to say the 2-time unanimous MVP, James Harden, should be the 2-time unanimous MVP. James Harden is going to be the first seed, him along with a very strong relationship with him and Russell Westbrook. You know,
Okay.
I feel like them two could be. Mike D'Antoni is the key, though. He has to put them in situations where they can succeed.
I was going to say, because the other 3 starters on the court's not going to be that good.
So you think that their roster is good enough to clinch the 1 seed in the West?
No.
Yeah, because
Compared to the
because
Clippers and
they-
the Lakers?
because they know at the end of the day they know they can't go to the finals. So I feel like
They're
they
just
have
gonna
to go crazy in the regular season because
Okay.
the Clippers and the Lakers, they have a bigger goal in their mind. So like you said, I don't see how he had the Clippers at 1 when Kawhi is used to load management.
I think they're gonna stop putting them as low.
But you got to remember, Kawhi is coming off of a championship win, and he's also got Paul George.
I
Yeah,
think that Paul George will
Paul
have low
George is
management.
going to miss a couple games, and the reason why Kawhi was such a dominant in his championship run, he didn't play that many regular season games, and a recipe that works will be a recipe repeated. And with a better coach in Doc Rivers, he'll manage his minutes well, and he'll have them in the top 4 seed, no doubt, but they won't just be chasing records out here in the regular season. So with that being said, I'm going to have the Rockets first.
Okay.
The 2, I would say the Lakers.
Okay.
The 3, I would go Clippers. 4, Denver. 5, Portland. 6, Warriors. 7th seed is the San Antonio Spurs. And the wild card in the West, I would have to go.
You want me to tell you who you still got?
Yeah.
All right. So you still got
Did he say Denver?
you still got Utah.
Utah.
Oh my.
I was going to say, you
God.
got to throw Utah in the mix.
Oh Lord. Okay.
You still got New Orleans.
Okay. So we got.
Dallas.
Okay. So we got the Warriors 7th.
You want the Warriors 7th?
Warriors 7th.
You got Utah at 6, or you got San Antonio at 6?
I got Utah at 6.
Okay.
San Antonio 8th seed.
Okay. So then Golden State, then San Antonio.
Yes.
Okay.
With Utah having the 2-time MVP, DPOY Rudy Gobert, along with the veteran point guard that can help Donovan Mitchell grow, along with Joe Ingles, I feel like that team would be really solid. So, yeah.
Okay.
I just
I
need to
think-
clarify real quick that my decision to go with the Pelicans in the playoffs is just their talent.
Okay. So do you want to put them in there, or you still got?
Didn't I?
No, you got
What talent?
you got the Clippers, the Lakers, the Rockets, Denver, Utah, Golden State, Dallas, and Portland.
What talent does the Pelicans have?
They just picked up 2 talented players from the Lakers. Given that they didn't
Ooh.
seem talented, Lonzo and Brandon Ingram.
Lonzo Ball, talented? What?
But
Are
you
you
never know.
Now that
He
he's got a, now that he fixed his jump shot a little bit, yes.
I think they could, kind of make it up there for like a top 10. I don't see them being in the playoffs, but I think they
talented?
can. I think they can run it.
And once Zion comes back, that's more talent. And I get it, it's his rookie year.
We haven't seen Zion do a thing in the NBA.
We haven't
to
seen-
Stop. Did you see what happened when they ran the zone against that man?
This is a new year.
Hey, he does have to get a jump shot, though. I'm not going to lie to you. So for the West, I have Houston at number 1 because, like you said, I don't see Houston thinking that they're going to go all the way. I mean, of course, I think they do. I just don't think that their team really matches up well against others. Like, they have Westbrook and James Harden. That's really about it. The rest of the team is just kind of there. I think that they're just going to try and take home the home court advantage as soon as they can. I think other teams are just going to kind of just play it out for the long run. The second seed, I'm going to give it to the Lakers just because I think that they have a better overall team and that their depth is better. Third seed, I would have to pick the Clippers. Fourth, I would go with Denver. Fifth, I'm going to go Utah. Sixth would probably be Golden State. Actually, I'd probably put Golden State at 5th and then Utah. And then
Just so you know, Stevie, I'm not making faces at you, my man.
Actually, I might put Portland at 5th and then Golden State and then Utah and then San Antonio as 8th. So you got Dallas making the playoffs.
I like to put hope behind some, especially players like Luka Doncic
So you think Kristaps will
and
come back
Kristaps.
healthy? Kristaps will come back healthy and well?
Do I feel like he's going to come back 100%?
Well, I mean, do you
Possibly.
think he'll put up all-star numbers? I mean, I think he will.
Probably. More than likely, yes.
I don't think that they're playoff ready.
I'm just
yet.
putting them in the mix because I feel like Luka and Kristaps both deserve it.
Are they the
At
future?
least a playoff
Are
appearance.
they the future Steve Nash and Dirk?
Potentially.
What you think, Omari? Is Luka and Dirk the future Steve Nash or Luka and?
They have the potential to be.
Kristaps.
Are they? Are they not? I'm not going to answer
No,
that right
because I
now.
don't see Luka winning 2 MVPs.
You don't think he's an MVP type of player?
No,
Last year he averaged 20. That was
Not-
his rookie year.
not in this class. I don't think so.
Do you
because
think?
we have to. Kawhi Leonard has yet to win the MVP. Anthony Davis has yet to win the MVP. Who else I do believe it? And Damian Lillard has yet to win the MVP.
I think Damian Lillard will have a breakout year this year. I think he's got the right assets on his team to kind of flourish.
Who else?
Kyrie?
John Wall has yet to win the MVP.
I don't think John Wall's ever getting an MVP.
He's got to get out of Washington. He's got to get out of Washington.
That man's getting paid right now.
Man, 44 mil. You know what I could do with 44 mil? Absolutely nothing. I won't do a damn thing if I made 44 mil. I'll probably wake up. Maybe not even that.
What else you got for us, Steve, man?
I think Luka Doncic can win an MVP soon. I just think that he's gonna have to, learn how to be a little bit better when it comes to playmaking, because obviously he's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot more, and especially now that players are gonna start to realize what he's doing and like how he's doing it. Because last year he was coming from overseas, they didn't really know what he was doing. I think that they're gonna be more aware of like how he's gonna be playing, and now he has a star to play alongside with. So I think he's gonna have to learn how to just kind of learn how to play both playmaking and off the ball. if I see them in the playoffs. But with that being said, is there any early award predictions?
LeBron James MVP.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, his name has been dissed on this offseason, and I guess everyone just has amnesia of who the king is.
You tired of it?
Tired of it.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. We didn't even get to the Eastern Conference for the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
I think
Don't
that's
even bring
the
that up.
most concerning thing.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say if the Bulls can get their act together, they can sneak into the 8th seed.
You think so?
I believe so.
Not this year.
I don't even think they'll make the playoffs. I mean, they might, but, like, I just see more teams better than them.
If the Orlando Magic can make the playoffs, the Chicago Bulls can make the playoffs.
I'm going to start out with this one.
Okay, who's making the Eastern Conference? Or not the Eastern Conference, but who's making the Eastern Conference playoffs? Who's making them?
Are we going the same way we did the East? First seed to 8th?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's first seed?
I am going to say them.
Okay.
The Bucks.
I would agree.
It's not just because they have Giannis.
Okay.
Last year, okay, maybe it was pretty much just because they had Giannis.
But this year you're asking me they've got height. They've got some shooting now. And if Eric Bledsoe can get his act together and get the ball out his hands most of the time, we'll be fine. 2 Sixers.
Okay.
3, man, it's hard with Kevin Durant not playing this season because it would definitely be the Brooklyn Nets. But since the Brooklyn Nets right now really only have Kyrie, I don't know if I'd put him at a 3. Playoff team, yeah. 3 seed, definitely not. So, man, why does the rest of the Eastern Conference outside of Milwaukee and Detroit, but outside of Milwaukee and Philly, does it just seem weak to me still? And I did say at the beginning of this that this, in my mind, was the most balanced league.
You're forgetting about one other team, though. So you're talking about Brooklyn. What team was Kyrie on before that?
Don't get me wrong.
Going to be good.
You don't think they're going to be top 3?
No.
Playoff.
Playoffs, yes. Top 3, I also don't think that.
Kemba is not good to me.
Okay, but honestly, looking at the rest of the Eastern Conference, maybe they can pull a 3rd seed because Orlando, come on now, Chicago, come on now, the
honestly,
Knicks,
who
come on now.
Who else do they have in the East that's better than Boston? Other than the Sixers,
other than Philadelphia and Milwaukee, who's better than Boston? I'll give you a hint. Nobody.
I don't know. I just don't like Kemba Walker.
I'll give you another hint. You live here.
The Pacers?
I would say the Pacers are better.
If Victor come back on some demon stuff like he was, that could be interesting.
But a 3 seed?
The Pacers?
Yeah, the 4th seed sounds way better for them.
I think the Pacers can sneak in a 5th or a 3rd seed.
I'm going to put the Celtics at the 3rd.
I mean, they just got Malcolm Brogdon.
Celtics at the 3rd, but I have to agree with Omari. I think the Pacers are a 4th seed
team. The Celtics aren't 3rd by default. Let's just get that correct now.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Because of the Eastern Conference still being kind of weak without Kevin Durant being in the Eastern Conference, technically speaking right now, the Eastern Conference is still weak. And Miami, it's going to be hard playing around Jimmy Butler since he's kind of a self-involved kind of guy than he is a team player. I think we can all agree on that.
So Boston's 3?
Boston's 3.
All right, who's your 4?
Indiana.
Okay. Who's the 5th? Oh, now it gets tough.
It does get tough in the Eastern Conference.
Miami.
You got Miami?
I'll agree with Omari just because of mostly because of Jimmy Butler.
No.
Mostly because of Jimmy Butler.
Nets.
But they only really have Kyrie.
No, they got DeAndre Jordan. They got Karis LeVert. They got Torian Prince.
He said
the Nets might be
they
3.
got Spencer Dinwiddie.
See, here's what made me laugh. That Stevie gave me names, and what did Omari say?
Hold on.
It's the East.
The Nets. The Nets might be 3rd, and the list might drop. Nets 3rd, Celtics 4th, Indiana 5th, Miami.
I'm still
6th.
putting Boston there because as of right now, the Boston for sure has Kemba,
Toronto,
and his Cantor.
I got them at like 5th or 6th.
Right now, Boston has Kemba, and it's Cantor, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum.
I forgot about
Listen,
Enes
if
Kanter.
if KD was playing, the
Boston.
East is over with.
If KD was playing, yes,
KD would
but
be in
he's
another
not.
NBA Finals.
He's
by
not.
Far.
He's not. He's not playing. That's the only
Giannis
problem.
Can't hold him. I'm sorry.
And then
Max.
Eric Bledsoe wouldn't be able to guard Kyrie. I'm sorry.
Eric Bledsoe can't guard anybody. We saw what he did against Kyle Lowry.
God, don't bring him up.
Hey, honestly, Kyle Lowry was only effective in the finals, to be honest with you. Let's be honest.
But when was Eric Bledsoe dominant at all?
When he was on the Clippers. Actually, no, when he was on Phoenix.
I was going to say, because at least Kyle Lowry stepped up at some point.
Well, off of that subject, who's a fifth seed for you?
Who do I have for the 4? Indiana?
Indiana.
I am going to say Miami.
You're gonna say Miami? Okay, who's 6?
I haven't put the Nets in there yet, have I?
Nope.
No. I'm probably going to put Nets at 6 because they don't have Kevin Durant.
Okay. Who's 7?
Man. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You're going with your Chicago native hero? I think they can make the playoffs.
What about Toronto? Oh. What about Toronto?
I still have them in the playoffs. I don't know where they land.
I'm gonna go Toronto at 7, and I'm gonna put Detroit at 8.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay, Max. Okay, the Bulls. 8 seed.
The Bulls A seed?
Bulls
You got
8
the
seed,
Bulls
man.
over all those teams?
No, I don't. God.
Okay, so all right, start from 1 and
Pistons
work
might
your
be
way
the dark
down.
horse.
Start from 1 and work your way down for me real quick,
Okay, first seed.
because I don't agree
Philly.
with it right now. The Bulls
second
choice,
seed,
but
the Bucks. Third seed, the Nets.
I thought it was Boston by
No,
default.
the Nets.
you just said Boston by default.
The Nets.
Okay.
Fourth seed, Boston.
Oh,
Fifth,
well, at least he's got him
Indy.
top 5.
Sixth, Miami. No, sixth, Toronto. Seventh, Miami. Eighth, the Pistons.
Okay.
So you just so we're clear, right before you gave us that 18 thing of yours, you put Chicago at 8. So you're switching that and taking
No,
Chicago
he-
out of the playoffs at all.
He forgot about
I
He
Detroit.
forgot about
definitely
Detroit.
forgot about. He forgot about Detroit.
Yeah, but what
I mean, you
offense
did.
do
You
they
did,
have?
Stevie. You did see the look on his face when I said Detroit at 8.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about it.
But I do stand by what I said earlier. I do feel like the Toronto is just gonna be their confidence level died down once Kawhi left.
No, they're gonna have that mindset. You know, Tristan Thompson did when LeBron left. We're
Negative.
still the Eastern Conference champions. Yeah, get out of here.
Hey, you know I saw.
Right.
on
So what I'm saying,
Instagram-
get out of here. So they're going down to the 7th seed.
I saw on Instagram. It was by Kevin Porter Jr. He said the caption was, and they said we're gonna go 19 and 63 or some shit like that.
Negative.
No, they're gonna win. I forgot what it was. He said they're gonna win like 19 games, or like him being in the third person. I'm pretty sure they're gonna win 19 games. Maybe like.
Who did you
22
say
at most.
again?
The Cleveland Cavaliers. You got them winning over 19 games?
19 seemed a little high. They might be pushing it a little bit.
Okay, for my Eastern Conference, I have Philly at 1, and then
Man,
I got the Bucks at 2.
man, you guys all putting the Bucks at 2.
I'm sorry.
Shameful.
I think that they're gonna learn this year that it's just more about longevity than trying to get the 1 seed now.
If anybody's going to be learning where they should be, it's going to be Philly.
Nah,
Because they didn't go as far as
that don't
Milwaukee
matter.
did.
They got Al Horford now.
They actually lost till No, I'm sorry. They had Milwaukee played I'm sorry. Jesus. Philadelphia played Toronto. Never
At
mind.
least it
Take back
took
what I just
4
said.
bounces above an orange cylinder rim to beat Philly.
Yeah,
Just so
they
we're
were
clear,
Game 7.
just so we're absolutely clear, I'm not even going to blame the loss on that. I'm going to say that the refs hoed the Philadelphia 76ers because on that inbounds pass, Kawhi Leonard took 3 steps before he put the ball on the ground.
They don't count that. They don't ever. look
3
at that.
steps before he put the ball on the
Zero
ground.
Step in the NBA.
This is the second year in a while that I have not been a certified basketball ref. 3 steps for the NBA, still pushing it.
That's because a multi-billionaire company
I don't care.
counts the number 0 now. We go 0, 1, 2, 3, I guess.
All right, so
Okay, right. So you're basically on the same page as me. It's horseshit.
All right. On top
Correct.
of that, I got Boston at 3. I'm pretty sure we're all secure besides Omari that it's Boston, Philly, Indy, and Milwaukee in the top 4.
Yes.
I got Brooklyn at 5. I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Miami at 6. And I really want to say Detroit's better than Toronto.
My only thing about putting Detroit at 8 is that just that Toronto is coming off of a championship win.
I don't want to say that they have a better roster because they still have Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam.
Say the
Kyle
roster's pretty
Lowry.
much the same, minus Kawhi
Yeah.
Leonard.
But the Pistons
Minus
roster,
their defensive element.
the Pistons roster isn't that bad, to be honest with you.
Derrick
Actually, I
Rose,
think I might
Andre
throw-
Drummond.
I'm gonna throw the Raptors at 6 and then Miami at 7, and I'll put
And you're going to put Detroit at 8.
I'm gonna put Detroit at 8.
Detroit at 8's a very safe thing to say. Playoffs, yes. 8, yes.
I think that they can make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. I just don't see them
Going far.
I just don't see them
Getting out of the first round.
I don't see them getting past the 8th seed, to be honest with you.
I don't see them getting it, which then goes to show they're not getting past the first round.
All right. So, Amar, here's your favorite subject. What's the earliest predictions for the awards?
Well, he did say LeBron at the MVP, so
LeBron MVP.
what do we got for Rookie of the
Okay.
Year?
Rookie of the year?
Rookie
Who
of
is
the
that?
year, I would have to go with
Matisse Thybulle?
Ja Morant because of Zion missing 6 to 8 weeks to open up to start the year.
Don't forget, you
I'm going to agree with the John Morant thing,
Wait,
but for
I'm
a
not
different
done.
reason. I'm going to get into that
I'm not
later.
done, man. Hold on. Defensive Player of the Year, I do believe, will go to Draymond.
Hey, you know what Lamar would say?
He's going to be on load management. He doesn't have time to be clamping people up in the regular season when it doesn't matter. DPOY would be Draymond.
You got Draymond at DPOY?
Yeah, because I feel like he's going to have to step it up big again for them to make a nice, decent run. and
You think he's
secure
an
the
all-star
Warriors
this year?
game.
You think he'll be one?
All-star this year? No.
Okay.
I do not believe so. The big man in the West is coming alive with Jokic, Anthony Davis. I can even go and say Marvin Bagley might be an all-star this year. Chris Stapps, I think he's going to have a big year. Because back in New York, that was a pretty toxic franchise. I believe he's in a pretty decent, better environment. And he's playing along with Luka, so he'll look more dominant because they have someone else to focus on.
Okay.
Most improved player might be Derrick Rose.
You think so? All-star this year for the East?
Either Derrick Rose or might go on a limb and say who else? Derrick Rose.
You want to say
Fred
De'Aaron
VanVleet.
Fox?
Fred VanVleet might be the most improved player this year.
Okay.
And
Coach of the year? Oh, sixth man of the year.
Lou Will. Come on. I don't say no crazy. God. Coach of the year. Frank Vogel.
Okay.
Wait. Does that go to the automatic first seed of conferences or no?
No. I think who was it? It was Mike Malone. I think no. It was Budenholz. Budenholz was that one Coach of the Year this year. I think it might be the first seed, but I don't think it's always based on that.
Coach of the year might be Philly coach Brown.
Brett Brown.
He might be
Okay.
coach of the year. Scoring leader. That's the thing.
I mean, yeah.
Scoring
I
title?
guess.
Kind of.
Might
It's
be
not really
Kyrie.
counted as much anymore.
I would say James Harden still.
James. God, that dude is something else.
I don't even think Westbrook's gonna be like. He'll still be at his 20 points, but I think James will get maybe 33 again.
It's so hard to stop James Harden, especially when they allow you to take 3 steps. It's just hard.
3. Screw that. You want to look at some highlights? I'm counting 4.
But the most thing I want to see happen this year, I want to see Melo get on the team.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be big for the NBA.
Should he go to Brooklyn? Replace
Like
KD?
if Melo gets on a team, like a championship caliber team, and he actually contributes, I believe the NBA will just go through the roof.
I'm just going to stop you right there and real quick say that I think Melo's career is over.
Melo is better than half of the dude that's starting. So I don't know what you're talking about. He can definitely start on the Milwaukee Bucks.
He can start. I can guarantee you if he ever goes to a team, he's probably, maybe not all teams, but a lot of teams, if he goes to them, he will start. Just mostly because of his name
Melo can average 15
and his history.
if he wanted to.
Yeah, I agree. He could average 15.
They got him so bent this year.
I don't know. I don't know
what's
if
wrong
it's going to
with
be on
the
a good
league.
shooting percentage, but he could definitely average 15.
They got Melo done. Like, what's wrong with them? I don't know.
But you got to remember, he's kind of given up too.
No,
You also
he
got to
isn't.
blame
That man's been
some
in
of
the
it
gym
on
every
him.
day. No, I don't know if you have him on Instagram, but he's been working with a whole bunch of different NBA players in that one gym. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That one gym in New York or whatever.
Houston could have used him in the playoffs. Whether they like it or not. They could have actually used Melo.
Award seasons? Who you got, Max?
I don't think
MVP?
I don't think it's going to change much from Omari's.
No?
No.
You don't got anybody else different? MVP,
The only thing different I have to say is the reason as to why John Morant's going to be
DPOY, stay
Rookie
the same?
of the Year. Yes. I'm still going to go Draymond
Most
Green.
improved, stay the same, Derrick Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing that changes for me is the reasoning why John Morant's going to be Rookie of the Year, and that's just because I think he's going to be a better player than Zion will.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement that John Morant's going to win Rookie of the Year. I don't see
I'm not going to
any
base it off of Zion being hurt.
I mean, I don't even see it being like Zion being hurt. Like, I think that he's gonna average maybe around 22 a game. It's just I think John Morant's a more complete player when playing with a team. He's just a better teammate in general, and he'll be all around better. MVP, I have Anthony Davis winning. I don't see as to why LeBron would want to chase for another MVP when he's more focused on getting a ring.
Here's my thing with LeBron, and I don't know if Amari would agree on that, is that I don't think he'll chase that title.
Chase the
I don't think he'll chase
the NBA championship?
I think he'll just play that way.
No, I think he's
Okay,
just
he'll
kinda
chase a championship, yes. I don't think he's going to chase the MVP title.
I mean, I don't think he's even gonna be worried about getting the MVP. Like, he's just gonna tell Anthony Davis, this is like
Go
like,
crazy.
Yeah, just go ahead and just do
Go
what
nuts.
you gotta do.
But I feel like he's just going to play his way into the MVP, not chase it.
No, I honestly think Anthony Davis will have big numbers, especially with the crowd that he's around. Like, he's just gonna be naturally like just getting his points and his rebounds. Like, it's just gonna come to him rather than him trying to lead this team. I do agree that Draymond's gonna step up a lot, especially now that Clay's out and they lost KD. They lost their second best defender with Andre Iguodala. I think that he's gonna be one of their top guys and like trying to lead these younger guys like D'Lo, Willie Cauley-Stein. I think he's gonna try and lead them to be more defensive oriented. Most improved, I have Trae Young. You think that's all right? I think Trae Young will, do a lot better, especially with the new prospects that he has.
Trae Young or DeMar DeRozan.
You got DeMar DeRozan as the most improved.
I feel like if he can make the Spurs legitimate for the playoffs, especially with the upcoming Western Conference and how tough it's going to be, because he to be traded from Toronto to an organization that Kawhi just came from, but he came to your city and delivered a chip. I feel like you got a little something to prove because it doesn't look good on your resume.
Oh yeah,
not at all.
I mean, he's gonna have to start shooting some outside the mid range. He's gonna start after shooting threes. I know that's not really his game, but he's got a.
Or Ben Simmons.
Yeah, Ben Simmons. I could see him being most improved, but like he's.
But he already got Rookie of the Year though.
It's
hard.
Show,
it is hard to be rookie. I'm sorry. It is hard to be most improved when you win Rookie of the Year.
I don't see Donovan improve. Like, I see him improving playmaking wise, but I don't see him improving his scoring. I don't see him improving his defense. I just feel like with more weapons means just more playmaking for him, and like he won't have the ball as much because he's got Mike Conley with him too. I think Trae Young will just still have the ball in his hands at all times. He's just gonna have the green light from now on, and like the players like John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, and Cam Reddish. Also, who else did they get? I forgot who else they got, but I think that he'll be a lot better than last year's statistical standpoint. Sixth man of the year, I have Montrezl Harrell. I have no idea if it's going to be Lou or Montrez, but they both finished as finalists. And I think that Montrez is going to be a lot more energized knowing that he is not going to have to lead that role in scoring as much, especially when he's coming off the bench and you got PG and Kawhi. Coach of the year, I have Eric Spoelstra, just because I think that they can be a 5 through 8 seed in the East from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs.
Even last year, they was one game out from the playoffs.
Were they?
Yeah.
Really?
Because if they'd have won their last game, I believe, and someone would have lost, they'd have been in the playoffs.
Oh, that's right. That was against Detroit. Like if Detroit would have lost, yeah. I think that they can be something. I mean, honestly, Tyler Hero's showing something that I didn't think that he was capable of. But it should be an interesting year.
I'm just gonna say as the last thing, the West is still the dominant conference.
Oh yeah, it will be for a while. But I think that covers about everything so far for tonight.
Until the season starts.
Oh yeah, season starts tomorrow. It's gonna be lit. Lakers and Clippers tomorrow. It's gonna be lit.
Hey, you wanna know your only problem though?
Clippers are gonna lose.
You work.
All right.
Imagine.
See you on the next podcast.
I want to hear it.